Hey all. So today I was going to talk about one of the basics of Chemistry 105 here at UK, which is the basics of reading a periodic table. So let's start by just looking at it. The periodic table is a list of elements in a periodic order which can be used to determine their properties, and other things about them. So for example, let's go to helium, right here. Helium is over there with the noble gases, but you'll learn about that later. And we'll discuss what we can find out about this element from this little block here from the periodic table. So let's start this right here. Your periodic table will typically have a name of the element, but not always. Sometimes it just has the elemental symbol. The elemental symbol is the one or two letter abbreviation for the element. For helium, it's He. So if you were to see a chemical compound with helium in it, it wouldn't say helium dioxide, for example. It would just say HeO2. So the elemental symbol is kind of the shorthand for the element name itself. For some of the elements, it's very, what's the word for it? Easy to recognize. It's fairly obvious why it was named that. So He for helium. For other elements, however, like for example tungsten right here, it has an elemental symbol of a W, which doesn't make much sense unless you know the origins of that word, of the element itself. So for your typical 105 class, I believe they make you memorize from 1 to 30 of the elemental symbols for each element. So from hydrogen all the way down to zinc. May sound a little bit difficult, but if you practice enough with it, it'll be easy enough. So, helium. We know what the elemental symbol is, the abbreviation for an element. We know what the name is here. Let's talk about all these numbers. So, the atomic number for helium is 2 up here. The atomic number of an element is how many protons that element has in its nucleus. So every atom of helium has 2 protons in its nucleus. And the elements on the periodic table are arranged so that it goes in increasing order of protons. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and on, all the way down to Glanson, which has 118 protons. So each atom of the same element has the same number of protons. The bottom number here, however, is the mass number. The mass number is the average number of protons and neutrons in an element. Now I say average number because not all atoms of helium have 4 protons and neutrons. They all have the same number of protons, but atoms can have different numbers of neutrons, so those are called isotopes. We're not going to talk about those yet. So, on average, the average helium atom has 4.0026 protons and neutrons in it. Another element, for example, lithium, has 6.94 protons and neutrons. So you know that every atom of helium has 2 protons. So to get the number of neutrons on average, all you have to do is subtract the number of protons plus neutrons, 4.026, by the number of protons, 2, to get the number of neutrons, which would be 2. We'll round down to 2. So 2 protons, 2 neutrons, and in general, every atom has the same number of electrons as protons. Now, one last thing, and then we'll be done. When reading the periodic table, it's useful to refer to the elements by their rows and column. So helium, for example, almost fell, is on row 1, rows go across, and column 18. Columns go up and down. You can think of like a marble column in architecture. Marble columns go up and down. So, the rows, well, the columns tell you a lot more than the rows, but you'll learn about that in your chemistry class. So, columns go up and down, rows go across. The atomic number is the number of protons, the mass number is the number of protons plus neutrons. Every element has a name and an elemental symbol. And you have to memorize the first 30 of the elemental symbols for your general chemistry classes. So, that covers that periodic table. Oh, one last thing. You can generally tell what state, physical state, the element is in at room temperature by its color on the periodic table. So if it's a solid, it'll be black. The elemental symbol will be black. If it's a liquid, the elemental symbol will be blue, like mercury and bromine over there. If it's a gas, the elemental symbol will be red, like hydrogen, oxygen, and xenon. If they don't know what it is, because it's a synthetic element and it breaks down too fast for us to tell if it's a solid, liquid, or gas, it'll be typically grayed out. Like ruthenium down here, which is an artificial element that we know exists, but we don't know what state of matter it is at room temperature, because we can't make enough of it to tell. So, that should cover it. Luckily enough. All right. If you have any questions about anything about the periodic table, feel free to ask. And yeah, y'all have a good day.